we are going to go over some never before seen zombies, behind the scenes images, explaining mysteries that we in the community have had for over 14 years. Mysteries including the Nacht Der Untoten comic loading screen, normal daytime version of Transit, as well as the infamous bus route B, and even a different version of the bus driver. So for OG Zombies fans, you're going to love this video. It's probably going to blow your mind as well. And if it does, you got to let me know in the comment section and by clicking that thumbs up. But let's start with the Transit bus driver. So as you can see, this was the original design for our favorite beloved bus driver, and boy, this is a weird one. Design wise, I'm really happy that we got the final design that we all know and love, but this has some really interesting parts to it that didn't actually make the final version. First of all, he has these bulging eyeballs, and apparently only one of them was going to be animated, so the other was going to be permanently stuck. He still has that animated mouth, but his ears were going to be microphones. One of the coolest details was that on his chest was going to be a glass enclosure with a Nixie tube that was going to reveal numbers. This could have potentially have displayed the amount of seconds that the driver was going to stay stopped at a location for before moving off again, or to let you know what the next bus stop location would be and that they would be signified with numbers somewhere on the map. Realistically, I don't think you would even be able to really see this part of his body by the position that he is in the bus. But to me, Nixie tubes are really synonymous with the Cold War era, so it would have been really cool to see that, potentially giving some history into when Ted was originally created. The back of his head also has this really weird design of like a timer as well as switches, where potentially he could have been turned off, he could have been reprogrammed. We could theorize all day just on this image alone. But up until today, we have never, in the 12 years since the release of Transit, have we ever seen pre-alpha images of Transit. But now we are seeing the very first concepts ever of different parts of Transit, like the diner interior, the lava, which has been painted over a pre-alpha gameplay image, as well as showing the terrain of what would be certain parts of Transit. One of the coolest being a concept for the power station reactor, which is labeled as Black Sun, and you can see just that incredible design in the ceiling there and that beam of light going up into it. That is the design logo of the Black Sun, which, if you aren't aware, is the symbols that are on the Templar zombies chests in the Origins map. And furthermore, the Primus crew in their Great War outfits also have the same Black Sun symbol on their chest. So this shows that Treyarch were planning to have the Black Sun logo as a much more synonymous thing throughout multiple games. It shows that Treyarch were always 10 steps ahead of us. As we go through all these concepts here, you can see the concepts for the diner, the gas station, the intersection in the town where it looks a lot more barren than what we're used to. It's just amazing that we're getting to see a look behind the curtain here, to see one of the most popular levels in gaming pop culture, let alone Call of Duty Zombies, to see what it was really like from the very beginning. Now you're probably wondering where this has all come from, and this has come from a former Treyarch developer who's released this all on his ArtStation account. Now we won't go into his identity in the video just to protect his privacy. He has worked on a lot of things over the years for Treyarch. Black Ops 2 is just scratching the surface, hence why some of these mysteries in this video span 14 years. As we see here, this is a concept UI map of Transit as we see it pretty much still to this day within the menus to show all the different areas that were playable, and it makes it look like the actual bridge itself before the bus depot was going to be its own standalone map, which is really interesting. Furthermore, if we look at this map image here and then compare it to a early drawing of the Transit map in its entirety by the developer himself, this is amazing because this shows Transit in its full original look before they decided to transform it into the lava-destroyed Transit that we know of today. You can just see that there is no lava, no destruction to the map whatsoever. All of the areas are still retained as we know it, but again, notice that the covered bridge is also labeled as an area where it was probably going to be its own playable area, because we have the bus depot, the tunnel entrance and exits, the diner and the gas station. But look between the gas station and the farm. There is a massive amount of land that was never ever used, and the theories of Bus Route B go to the fact that there was an area of land between the gas station and the farm, but there was a massive piece of land, and you can see it within the game itself where it looked very much like a usable bit of land for a possible new area, which we never saw. And that area between the gas station and farm, I mean, are you kidding me? That is so big that there could have been another playable area there guaranteed. It also looks like there were going to be 2 different methods to get you to the bus depot. We can see the covered bridge there, and that is the method that we have in the final version, but there's another route off to the left where there is a pathway with some buildings that eventually lead to the bus depot, but then there's a weird section that just completely dips off into nothing, and there's another pathway that leads into some forestry which is above the tunnel. And again, this is something that we have never known about Transit until today, which is incredible. We also get to see concept artwork of the denizens, which were called Screechers, and we've never actually seen a full body image of them ever before. Being able to see that they have tails, they also have these really creepy long toes, which you can't see in game. That design is honestly the stuff of nightmares. And we also get concept artwork of the town itself, where it looks like, again, there is no lava, but it has been destroyed or is literally in the process of being destroyed, as those meteors in the sky could be the rockets sent from the moon's Easter egg. We've got another piece of evidence of Transit originally not going to be destroyed by this notes on the farmhouse, where we can see it looks way less destroyed than the final version, where there's drawings of cracks in the ground show the destruction of the moon's rockets. So this is just incredible to see so many years later. But the real mystery that this developer has revealed is a mystery behind the Nacht Der Untoten loading screen. And he explains in his ArtStation post that he is the sole one responsible for creating the comic book loading screens for each map that we got from Black Ops 1 onwards. It was his decision and responsibility to showcase all of the story within a comic style loading screen. He created every single one for Black Ops 1, which includes Kino, Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, Moon, and even remastered map loading screens for the Resurrection Pack, which includes Nacht Der Untoten and Varuk, Shinonuma, and Derice. Most famously, this Derice loading screen was shown off in 2015 before the announcement of Black Ops 3 by Treyarch, which was a tease that a remaster or remake of Derice was in the works, which we know ended up being the Giant. This is the first time we can see this in full HD, but the real mystery is with Nacht Der Untoten's loading screen, where for many years, certain parts of the loading screen had no context, and people were theorizing for years on what all of this stuff meant. And if you care about the old EVA storyline, you will have been confused by this and have wanted answers. And we finally get them, because we get to see a rough early version of the Nacht loading screen, which answers all of our questions, which is incredible. This first box here, which shows a shot of behind someone with what appears to be several faces and potentially a hand and a massive glow, turns out that's actually a load of these scientists sat around a circular table with an object in the middle which is glowing. What exactly this object is, we don't know, but we can obviously connotate some ideas to this, such as the summoning key. If that was all planned that far back in Black Ops 1, that is absolutely insane. Furthermore, we have the images of a load of scientists in a line walking on a computer, and suddenly there is some sort of time travel between 1964 and 1943. And all of that remains the same, but a big mystery in the loading screen is in the far right. Who is this shadowed character and where have they come from? Because there's all sorts of numbers behind them, and a lot of us assume this could have been the Pentagon Thief traveling back in time to end up on the map 5. It could have also been Dr. Monty, him existing at every point of the zombies timeline in every version of the maps we experience. We don't get that answer, but we do see in the behind the scenes that this is literally just a shadowy figure that stood in a doorway with a light glowing behind him. And we can tell that because to the left and right of the door, there are windows which are letting in just a small amount of light. It doesn't answer exactly who it is, but it gives us so much more clarity on what we were originally looking at in that loading screen back in 2011. What's even more mind-blowing is we get a look at several different versions of the Pack-a-Punch machine design. We've obviously known what it's looked like and it hasn't changed since 2008, but there were 12 different designs for this machine, including ones that made it look like a perk machine, a lot that made it look like an old school jukebox, which I think is a really cool design, and number 12 especially, that looks wild. But design 11 is obviously the one that we finally went with, which if you didn't know is an old school machine that would hold and shine up bowling balls. We also get to see some crazy concepts from Black Ops 2, such as the way that the magic box was originally designed for Origins, where it looks quite different actually, where it's supposed to be sort of like a tomb that was opening. We also get to see the stages of the magic box as well, and those didn't change, which is cool, but the design definitely did. We also get to see the original designs for the Wonder Fizz machine, which pretty much stayed exactly the same, as well as Electric Cherry and Vulture Raid. But what's the most interesting is actually some Black Ops 3 stuff. stuff. There's a few things of parts of Zetsubou no Shima, especially when it comes to upgrading the KT4 Wonder Weapon, that station, but there's also some DLC 5 stuff related to the Moon remaster, where there's designs of the biodome, the airlock doors, as well as the hangars. And what's the most fascinating is in all of these, you can see that there is the Ascension Group logo on every single one. On the side of the wall of the airlock, you can see the logo. On top of the biodome, even the building of the spawn room itself is consistently got the Ascension Group on it, which is crazy for those that are diehard zombie fans of the storyline, because this is Group 935's base. This doesn't make sense for the Ascension Group to be on it, unless there was a lot more hidden than what we realize in terms of the story and the weaving of Ascension Group and Group 935. The final thing we'll talk about in this video is a cut piece of concept art for a game mode of Transit that never ever saw the light of day, which was called Meat. Now, we've seen this image before, but this is the first time we've seen it in its full HD glory, but also there were some other parts of the image that were not originally here in the leaked version from the files many years ago, which included an actual piece of meat and zombies in the image. This is just a super clean looking concept art, which shows that the town itself would have been blocked off, but there'll be two teams that would have been fighting with the meat, and that some of the iconic buildings within the town would also have been completely redesigned for this game mode, which just looks amazing. I'd love to know your thoughts on all of the recently discovered behind the scenes stuff in the comments below. And to not miss out on anything more like this, you need to hit that subscribe button.